All right. Hey, everybody. Hope you are doing well out there. We are going to start a new series tonight dealing with the Greek alphabet and starting to learn New Testament Greek. So, um, you know, buckle up, and it's going to be a little bit of a different approach to biblical Greek. Whoop, I put the wrong window on there. Hang on one second. Let's see. I think that is what we're. No, that's not what we're looking for either. My goodness. Okay. So figures. I'm looking at all of my windows that I have open, and of course I have everything but the right one available to me. There we go. As things are updating. So yeah, we're going to be looking at biblical Greek today and starting to read it from the beginning. I don't know how many people out there are interested actually in studying biblical Greek, but I figure we'd spend some time doing that. And we're going to be doing it a little bit differently because usually when people study Greek, at least in a Christian context, they're looking, they're focusing on the Erasmian pronunciation, which is something that's really no longer used in biblical scholarship. And so we're going to do things a little bit differently and use the modern Greek pronunciation, even though that's not exactly how things would have been pronounced in biblical days as well either. But it's a lot closer to what we would call Kini pronunciation. Traditionally, you might hear encounter the term koine, which is again what we'd call it in Erasmian pronunciation. But we're going to refer to it as Kini. That's how it's generally going to be pronounced. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So the goal for this lesson is to just start right here, right from the beginning. Without any presumption that you have read Greek before, and we're just going to get right into it and see where it goes. So please feel free to leave your comments. Let me know where you're where you're watching from, and any clarifications that you need me to make while we're going along here. Please ask. Got a nice hot cup of tea and we're ready to go. So all right, so the goal for this course is, you can see here on the screen. Hopefully the type is large enough for you. We're going to be reading Real Greek from day one. So this is a parallel course to my Biblical Hebrew course. And I just noticed, the funny thing in the description is when I when I set these things up, sometimes they copy titles over from the previous video. So I got to get my act together here, and we just got to make some adjustment here. Got to erase something out of there. Got something left over from the title in the previous one. Man, I'm having a tough go of it here today getting started. There we go. All right. So I got the title in the video all set. All right, so we're going to be reading, Real Greek from day one. We're using Kini. We're going to pronounce it as. I know it looks like koine, but Kini is how we're going to say it. Using modern Greek pronunciation, and it's going to be a clear, pronunciation. It's going to be a consistent pronunciation, and it's alive. So this is what we're doing with the Biblical Hebrew approach, where it's a little bit different. So in the Biblical Hebrew, I actually teach from modern Hebrew first and lead us into Biblical Hebrew. Here we're only dealing with the ancient Hebrew of the New Testament and the Septuagint, but we're using modern Greek pronunciation. So by the end of today, you will have read Greek words, Greek sentences, a portion of the New Testament, and hopefully we'll get to look at the Septuagint. Some people will say Septuagint, either one is fine. Okay, and you're going to be able to understand them. Okay, so it's a little ambitious, but we're going to do it. All right, so let's start with the alphabet, and I want to just increase the size of the text here because this is, I think, a little too small for our purposes. All right. And here we go. So we're going to start here with the first letter, alpha. Alpha. Okay. And in this pronunciation system, we're going to pronounce it ah. Ah. Okay. So alpha makes ah as in father. Alpha makes ah as in father. Okay. All right. The next one, vita. Vita. Now, in traditional pronunciation, we're going to pronounce that as beta. Beta. That's how I was taught to pronounce it, and that's how anybody trained in Erasmian will pronounce it, which is fine. But in modern Greek pronunciation, it's going to be pronounced vita. Vita, making a V sound. Vita. All right. And Jank, glad you're with us today. And Herman, glad you're with us as well. Yeah, you caught the Yeshli thing in the title there. I know, I'm trying to get my act together. Today was a crazy busy day with church responsibilities and trying to stay on top of everything and do this. So yeah, sometimes everything runs smoothly. More often than not, there's a hiccup of one kind or another. So alpha, alpha, vita, vita, alpha, vita. Okay. All right. Next, we have Rama, and I was, I wrestled with how to transliterate these. I chose to do it with GH instead of just a G. Most people who've studied biblical Greek will see it listed as, gamma, Gamma. Even in science, we talk about gamma rays, right? Gamma rays. And, so we're not learning to pronounce Greek like we learned in our math classes and science classes, though. All right. So I represent it here with the GH. Now, contextually, Rama can have different pronunciations. I gotta put my glasses on. And we're going to find that sometimes it's going to have a y sound as well. I'm not going to get into all of that right now, but I just want you to know that up front. We're going to deal with that more when we are reading biblical texts, and then we'll come across the environments in which we see these different pronunciations and so on and so forth. Okay. All right. Just move that over. Camera's always getting moved around. All right. So let's review really quickly. We've got alpha, vita. Okay. Next page. Rama, Rama. Velta, Velta. And again, it's traditional to write it as delta, delta. Okay. But in modern Greek, it's going to be pronounced Velta, Velta. Okay. Alpha, Vita, Gamma, Velta. They represent it here, the way I wrote it here is as TH in this, but I prefer to use, the DH, because when you're using TH in transliteration, many people, at least English speakers, will be inclined to pronounce it as the TH in thing, thing. This is the TH like in this, and at least in Semitic languages, it's very common to use DH for that sound. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. This is just the system I'm going to try to use consistently. Okay. So alpha, vita, gamma, delta. All right. And next, we're going to, sorry, we have to increase the size of the rest of these here. I guess I didn't get them all. All right. So I think we said we're going with 31. There we go. All right. Just fix this as we go. All right. So we've got epsilon next, which is going to be a shorter E, epsilon. Okay. So far you can see that our alphabet roughly corresponds to the English alphabet, but instead of A, B, C, D, E, we get A, B, you might say G, D, E. But That's like, oh, wait a second, that's like Hebrew, isn't it? So what's the Hebrew alphabet for those who know it? Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Gimel, Delta, not not Delta, Dalet, sorry. And then that's where things go a little bit different, where we'd get the letter He after there. Okay, here we get epsilon, but vowels are not actually part of the alphabet in Hebrew or Phoenician. So that's where it differs a little. But we can see that there's a lot of similarity here. Okay. Hi, Nana. Glad you're with us. I just checked the chat. Glad to see that you're with us. And in fact, you know what? I forgot to pop the chat out here so we can put this over here and hopefully everybody will be able to see. There's actually plenty of room right now to fit that on the screen, so I'm going to do that. And that should, let's see, whoops, why do we have you over there? Let's move that over. Thanks for your patience, everybody. This way we can see all the comments as they come through. All right, that's much better. Okay. All right, very good. Okay, so, Erev Tov, very good, Jank. A bunch of polyglots here, right? Alpha, Vita, Alpha, Vita, Rama, Rama. Make that gargling sound, right? Velta, Velta. Okay, by the way, I should pause since I know all of you that are watching are on the Hebrew broadcast as well. Let me take a minute just to talk about the letter Dalet in Hebrew, which corresponds to Delta. And in ancient times, I'm going to say in the time of King David for now, up till about the time of the Babylonian exile, it would seem, the Hebrew letter Dalet was always pronounced as a D, like in the word door, okay? About the time of the Babylonian exile, scholars say, it was, in certain word environments, it became a DH, like we're saying here with Velta, like the TH in the word this, okay? And so in King David's time, his name would have been Dawid, 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 okay? And then in the, around the time of the exile, it probably would have been something like Dawid, Dawid, okay? And then later on, it would have become, David, and then we've abandoned that, and so now with the modern Israeli pronunciation, we don't pronounce the DH sound anymore, and it's become David. Okay, but the name, depending on what period of Hebrew you're talking about, you're going to get a different pronunciation. Okay, but that's just some connection there. Jank writes in the comments here, will learning modern Greek help me learn Kini Greek in the same way that learning modern Hebrew helps with learning biblical Hebrew? So I'm going to tell you right up front that my knowledge of modern Greek nowhere near approximates my knowledge of modern Hebrew. But based on what I know of it, not really. Okay. Are there overlaps? Yes, but it's not to the same degree. Not to the same degree. And the reason for that, as I understand it, is that when modern Hebrew, well, let me rephrase that. Modern Hebrew is really a reconstructed language. Okay, so in the 19th century by Eliezer ben Yehuda, the modern Hebrew was reconstructed, and so there, at its inception, and please hear me clearly, at its inception, there was a certain artificiality to it, whereas Greek has never not been a spoken language. It has evolved 100% organically, and so that's why it's going to be different modern Hebrew is going to more closely resemble biblical Hebrew because biblical Hebrew was used in the reconstruction of, or in the construction of modern Hebrew, whereas that was not the case, as I understand it, with Greek. So hopefully that helps a little bit. All right, so there we go. So alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and then epsilon. Okay, epsilon. Okay, now, it would appear that I deleted zeta from here. Okay, and I don't know how I did that. So we're going to go back because I obviously messed something up here. And I deleted the letter zeta. Okay, and man, I amaze myself. So let's go back. I must have deleted it when I think when I did something before. I'm so sorry, guys. Oh, man, so annoying. Sometimes this happens. Talk amongst yourselves for 1 second. Yeah, I somehow deleted it from the... Oh, that's amazing. All right. Well, we'll add it in after. Man, I'm going through this, and I just amaze myself how I can do that. There must have been when I was copying it and pasting it or something. It just didn't copy right. So is what it is. I've been having a lot of trouble going back to using a PC where the commands are just all different. And so be it. These things happen. All right, so I'll throw it up there. I'll show you the alphabet chart after. I have a second one prepared where we can look at it all together. So let me just put this in really quickly. Okay. Oh, so frustrated with myself. Well, I guess we all have those days, right? All right, so yeah, let me put this in, and hopefully I put the Greek keyboard. And if you ever need to know how to type in Greek on a PC or a Mac, let me know, and I'll happily teach you how to do that. There we go. Yep, thank you. All right. So, anyways, we've got from the beginning, go up top. So we've got alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, and then this is the one that I did not put in, and that is going to be the letter zeta. Okay? And there it is. And I prefer to, there's no correct way to, to write the transliteration of the letters, but, you can write it as zeta or with an E, you can write it as, like that, but it's going to be pronounced zeta. And generally it's going to make a Z sound, okay? Zeta. After that, we have eta, up here, eta, and this is where it gets a little confusing because it looks like an H, right? Looks like modern H, but it's pronounced eta, it's a vowel. And then the lowercase, or the uncial, we would say, is going to be, it looks like a small n, but it's not, okay? So eta, okay? The majuscule, the capital, looks like E, and the minuscule looks like an N, but it's eta, okay? All right, next we've got theta, with a TH, like in the word thing, TH, okay? All right, theta. Next we've got iota. This is where, when we say not one iota, okay, in English, that's typically how we'd say it. We say that to mean something small, right? Iota. And this corresponds to the Hebrew letter yud. So when Jesus says not one jot or tittle shall depart from the law, the jot is the Hebrew letter yud, which comes over into Greek as iota. Okay? And that's what, in the Greek New Testament, obviously iota is going to be used because the New Testament's written in Greek. All right, next we have kappa. 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 Make a K sound. Next is lambda. Lambda. And notice, whoops, sorry. Notice I put the DH in there when I transcribed it. Lambda. Lambda. Okay. It's going to be our L. All right. Next, we've got mi. In Kini pronunciation, we generally, or in Erasmian pronunciation, we generally say mu. Mu. But in modern Greek pronunciation, it's mi. Mi. That's our M. And then ni. Okay. And so let me just separate these out here. I think got all messed up. And notice that the majuscule, the capital ni in Greek, the majuscule, or the uncial, it looks like an N. But the minuscule looks like a V. Okay? So easy to get confused. So if we go back up to the top here, alpha. Okay? Alpha, it looks like an A in both cases. Vita, which is traditionally known as beta, looks like a B. So pretty easy. Just have to remember that it's pronounced more like a V. Rama is a little trickier because the minuscule looks like a Y. And sometimes it can make a Y type sound, but it's more of a GH most of the time. That's a contextual thing. Okay. Next we have Velta. Velta. And that corresponds to the English letter D. And the minuscule looks like a D. Yes, Jank, I love it. We are the knights who say ni. Excellent. I hope that helps you to remember it. That's fantastic. All right. So, Velta, and so there you go. Epsilon, it looks like, it corresponds to the English letter E in both cases. Whoops, sorry. Okay. Epsilon. All right. And now we go over to zeta. Zeta, which, at least in the majuscule, or the uncial, looks like the English letter Z. Not so much in the minuscule. That one's a little trickier. Might take a little memorization there. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Felix. Let's see. What about... whoops. Oh, sorry. Looks like you're editing the comment. So delta as this, theta as thin. Yes, absolutely. Very good, Felix. Yep. Delta as the TH in this, theta as the TH in thin. Yep. And what about delta as in dyslexia? If you're okay, so if you're talking about that's probably a good word to use because it's easy when we're going back and forth from Hebrew and Greek, right to left, left to right, to actually feel dyslexic. Yeah. So the way we're taught in Erasmian pronunciation, which is if you've ever used a book like, say, Bill Mounce's Hebrew. Let me try that again. All right, Bill Mounce's Greek grammar. What is it called? Greek grammar beyond the basics. That's what I was taught on. And you'd be taught to say D as in dyslexia or door or whatever. But that is, so Erasmian pronunciation is an artificial pronunciation. Yeah, and then Ito is not pronounced E before the 4th century, so not Kini, but Byzantine Greek. Yeah, so this is the problem with, Kini pronunciation, whether we use Kini or modern Greek pronunciation. I want to show everybody something. So one book that I really like is Frederick Long. Let me, hang on. Let me make the screen over there. And I appreciate you sharing these comments. I wasn't going to get into it in much detail today. So here we go. So this is a Keeney Greek grammar, okay, by Frederick Long. Sorry, everything's backwards here, so I'm trying to hold it up for you. And this is really a fantastic book. Not a not light reading to be sure, but I am going to make regular reference to it. But he does a great job of introducing. Sorry, let me try to straighten this out here for you. I should have taken like a couple of screenshots ahead of time, but I wasn't planning on doing this. But about talking about what the Greek alphabet looked like in the different periods, and you can kind of see that there. And he even gets into a discussion of, how Greek was pronounced in the different periods. And over the recent months, I was kind of wrestling with, what I wanted to use going forward, because I spent 25 years, um, using Erasmian pronunciation. And I just decided that, especially since the field is moving away from that, that I'd rather do that. The problem with using Keeney pronunciation is that there is no one Keeney pronunciation. One of the things I mentioned in my Arabic and Hebrew broadcast is anytime you study a living language, especially ones that were spoken in antiquity as well, what you find out very quickly is that there are a multiplicity of pronunciation systems. Okay, and they're all legitimate. Okay, so it's kind of like, if you teach modern English to a foreigner, well, what is the right way to pronounce modern English? And you say, well, you have to say, are we doing Australian? Are we doing British? Are we doing American? And if you settle in on American, then you will quickly have to make a choice about which American pronunciation you want to use. Because I live in Connecticut. I have family from New York. I have family from Boston, and we don't talk the same. It's very, very different. And, and that's saying nothing about, Midwestern accents, I have family in Texas, and my goodness, it's just pronounced differently. So the whole idea that any grammar book can give the pronunciation of an ancient language that's spoken over the course of centuries in so many different locales, I just don't find that helpful. It's good for advanced study, because we have to know as scholars how the language evolved. But when we're doing elementary level stuff, it actually gets in the way of learning the text. Yep. So, anyways, and with that, I see there's another comment that I missed. Jank, thank you for mentioning the super chat goal. Yep, we have one. It ended. All right, I got to start another one. I think I set the timer wrong before, so we are looking for 5 super chats tonight, and over the next 45 minutes. And I'm inviting all of those who participate to. I'm probably going to do 2 live Q&A sessions on Zoom this week, and anybody who's a participant, by becoming either a member of the YouTube channel, a member of the Patreon channel, or just giving super chats, you'll be invited privately to a Zoom call, in which I'm just going to do. Yeah, and very good, Jank. Where is it? I love it. Using his Greek. Awesome. So, yeah, we're going to be doing one tomorrow, and I did get the questions, what time? I have to look at my schedule still, but it will be in the evening East Coast time. I'm thinking, maybe 7 o'clock. So those of you who are members of the channel and contributors, please be sure to message me privately and let me know if 7 p.m. would work for you. But yeah, that's the goal. I want to try to, reward those who helped me to do this by becoming members of Patreon and the YouTube channel, doing super chats and all that. It really helps me to keep doing what I'm doing. And yeah, awesome. So yeah, thanks for the reminder, Jank. Thanks for the reminder. Appreciate it. All right, so let's go back to the beginning now. All right, and starting from here, we've got alpha, alpha, vita, vita, gamma, gamma, delta, delta, epsilon, epsilon, zeta, zeta, eta, eta, theta. And I'm just going to move that one down there. So theta, th as in thin. Okay. And then iota, iota, kappa, kappa, lambda, lambda, mi, mi, ni, ni, omicron, omicron. Okay. Now, I want to quickly take a minute just to give you some biblical relevance for this letter. So, omicron. This is when you're taught with a Rasmian pronunciation, you're generally taught to say omicron, omicron, so that it's distinguished from the last letter of the Greek alphabet, which is, and I'm just going to scroll down here, which is omega. Let me just, okay, so omega, all right there. And I'm going to show you a biblical text now, and I'm going to switch the screens. But notice how the omega is written, okay? It looks like a W, sort of, okay? Okay, and when we go back up to omicron, it looks like, the English letter O, all right? And so I'm going to bring up the Bible software for a second. All right, good. We've got accordance here, and let's put that on the screen, and I'm going to get I'm going to make myself disappear for a minute. Okay, and bear with me 1 second as we get, did accordance shut down on me? Figures, here we go. Okay, that should do. Okay, so, and let's move that over. All right, boom, we're in business. Okay, and I got to start a new tab here, and we're going to bring up the Greek New Testament, and we're going to go to Romans 5. Okay, increase the text size for you. Whoops, where'd the cursor go? And there we are. Okay, and then I'm going to add a parallel. I'll just put the ESV up for you here. Okay, and we'll actually read through the text in Greek once we finish the alphabet. But I just want to look at the English for a minute. And it says, therefore, since we've been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. Right? Everything's showing up on the screen there. Good. So this whole business of we have peace. Okay. You'll notice that there's a footnote here. And it says some manuscripts say, let us. That is to say, sorry, probably hard to see that. Some manuscripts say, let us have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay? And let's get that out of there. What happened to my Greek New Testament here? I just had it a second ago. ESV notes, PDAG. Well, this is amazing. Here we go. All right. Okay, so why the difference between we have peace and let us have peace? So we look over at, this is the United Bible Society, 5th edition, and we get this form, echomen, echomen, okay, which means, inattentive scribe, we'll see. This is actually very interesting. Yep. That's right. We have peace with God versus let us have peace. That's a big difference, right? Especially if you understand Paul's argument in Romans, the argument of the first half of Romans. Okay. So it says here, echomen, echomen, which, according to this spelling, means we have peace. We have peace. Okay. And there is no doubt about it. It's what we call an indicative, it's in the indicative mood. okay? Which means, the way I tell people is this is a simple way of understanding it. The indicative mood indicates reality. It indicates reality, something that is true. We have peace, okay? All right, now, so where does this whole business of let us have peace come from? So we're going to look at some manuscripts, and we're going to go over to the, let's see, Vaticanus. And Codex Vaticanus is the oldest complete manuscript of the Bible, okay, coming from the late 4th or early 5th century, the oldest complete one in existence. And we're going to go to Romans 5:1. Okay. It's not the oldest manuscript of Romans, but it's the oldest. Yep. Yeah. Well, we can look at them. I think I have P46 and Sinaiticus with me. So we can look at all of them, actually, if you're interested. Okay. So what happened? I click on this. Why is it not popping up? Sorry, bear with me here. That's interesting. All right, I guess I have to do this. There we go. Okay. Oop. Okay, and we're in the middle column, and I'm going to zoom in for you. Why did it do that? Okay, let's go full screen here. And let's see if I can. I guess I got to switch this. Why? There's a pop out, and I don't know why it's not letting you guys see that. All right, let me try something else here. Hang on. Ugh. Oh, OSB, why are you giving me a hard time here? All right, let's do this. Can we do that? Okay, so that's good. And I don't know why we have that. Let's get that out of there. Okay, so now let's zoom in, hopefully. Please, fingers crossed. Oh, man. All right, I'm going to have to do this. Sorry. View. In. There we go. Now we're in business. Okay. Now we're in business. Let's see if we can zoom in a little more. Oh, perfect. Okay. So here we are in the late 4th, early 5th century manuscript, Codex Vaticanus. Now, the first thing you'll note is that this looks very different from the Greek New Testament. Here's Romans 5:1. Okay. Just have a glance at that. Okay. And now, if you start here, this is where Romans 5:1 begins, right there. Okay. And you can see the letter delta. Delta. Okay. But all of these are uncials or capital letters. In the printed Greek New Testament, they're almost all minuscules. Okay. Almost all minuscules. But anyways, I want you to note this. This word right here, beginning with the epsilon, it says echomen. Echomen. You actually know most of these letters. There's epsilon. This is chi. This is the omega. Here's mi. Epsilon, ni. Okay. Echomen. This form means let us have peace, or let us have. The word peace actually is over here. It precedes it. Peace, let us have. Okay. But it means let us have. This is not we have. It's not an indicative. This is what we call a subjunctive. A subjunctive. Let us have peace. It does not indicate reality like the indicative does. It indicates possibility. Okay. Let us have peace. But notice over the omega, there is an omicron that a scribe added in. Okay. So the scribe wrote omega, but wrote an omicron above it, or another hand wrote omicron above it. Yep. It's the same text. Yeah. The USB and the NA28 are the same text. Yeah. With, I mean, if anything, super tiny variation, like maybe as to, the article or something like that, but so super tiny. And a lot of the same people were working on it, like, the Nestle Aland text. Well, Kurt and Barbara Aland were part of the USB text committee as well. Yep. So, in fact, I want to have a look at, where's my commentary? Metzger. Don't tell me it didn't upload. Oh, here it is. Good. All right. So I'm going to let you see, because we all, we don't just study Greek to study Greek here. Okay. We study Greek so that we can understand Scripture and the world of Scripture and so on and so forth. So that we don't have to. So what this means here is that the variant reading echomen, okay, which is given an A reading, it's the committee saying we're absolutely certain that this is the right reading, okay? So it says, although the subjunctive echomen, let us have peace, appears in, now, Sinaiticus, Jank, you were asking about that, the original hand. That's what the asterisk is there, the original hand. Codex Alexandrinus, B is Vaticanus, in the original hand, okay? And all of these other manuscripts, witnesses, translations from the ancient world, okay, has far better external support, that is to say, manuscript support, than echomen, okay, which does appear in Sinaiticus in the first hand, okay, and a number of other manuscripts. A majority of the committee judged, let's see, Bruce Metzger is the goat of New Testament textual criticism. Yeah, my friend, yeah, absolutely. A majority of the committee judged that internal evidence must here take precedence. Let me scroll up. Since in this passage it appears that Paul is not exhorting but stating facts, peace is the possession of those who have been justified, only the indicative is consonant with the apostle's argument. So this is what we call internal evidence. Since the difference in pronunciation between Omicron and Omega in the Hellenistic age was almost non-existent. Okay, check that out. That's not what Erasmian pronunciation would lead you to believe. Okay, so in the Hellenistic age, in the time of the New Testament, Omicron and Omega in the Hellenistic age was almost non-existent. When Paul dictated echomen, Tertius, whom we know to be his amanuensis, according to Romans chapter 16 and verse 22, may have written down echomen. So this creates a really interesting question here when we talk about the original of the New Testament. The New Testament in the original manuscripts, okay, which, this got me in a lot of trouble with some of my friends in evangelical circles, is that when we're talking about the original, what do we even mean? Okay, here, essentially what Metzger is arguing, if we're going to talk about the original of Romans, then we're talking about the dictated Romans, not the first written edition of Romans, because it's probably true that in the first written document produced by Tertius, that he got the letter wrong. Okay, and so this idea that the earliest manuscript of each biblical book was inerrant is highly problematic just on these grounds alone. All right, let me pause. I want to look at Felix's comment here. Sorry, I didn't realize I covered up the screen, so let me get rid of accordance. Let me put the chat back in, and we're going to move the chat up here. Why is the chat not appearing? Why? Okay, bear with me a second, friends. Let's get the chat going. There we go. I don't know why it disappeared on me like that. Bring everybody's comments up here, and I just want to read Felix's. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see that. Okay, so Felix says there are different ways. There are different ways of today English pronunciation, but nobody pronounces cat like keet. Um, there are limits to this argument. Could you, Felix? I just want to make sure I'm understanding your comment correctly. Can you just clarify how that refers to what I was saying? I apologize if I'm a little obtuse on that, but I just want to make sure if we're going to discuss that I understand you correctly first. So thanks for writing some clarification. All right, so good. We've got accordance there, but hopefully that's somewhat helpful anyway to see, just to see why this stuff. One of the reasons why this stuff actually matters for, understanding the Bible, biblical exegesis. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Let me just make a couple of fixes. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. All right. And bring the chat over just so I can see everything. All right, cool. All right, so Omicron. Good. Next, we have P. I know math teachers will teach us to pronounce it as pi, right? Every March 14th. Actually, that's coming up, Pi Day, right? So we'll pronounce it as P. Okay. And then we get Rho. Okay. Rho. And that's confusing for English speakers because it looks like a P. Okay. But that is Rho. That corresponds to our R. Okay. And then we have sigma. Sigma, which the uncial looks like this. At the beginning of the word or in the middle of a word when written in minuscule, it's going to look like that. But at the end of a word that's written in minuscules, it'll look like that, which corresponds more to the English S. Okay, so sigma. Okay, and then we have taf. And this, we're not going to get to it tonight. That'll be for the next video. But the alpha epsilon here, or AU that you see here, is going to be pronounced tough, as opposed to what we're taught in Erasmian pronunciation, which is tau. Okay, so tough. Next we get epsilon, and did I manage to? I missed some letters when I copied this out. I'm so sorry here. Epsilon, and then omega, but I got to give you the others. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because I managed to really bungle this tonight, so bear with me 1 second. And what I'm going to do is bring up a different screen with my alphabet chart that I used in my my slides whenever I'm teaching on this. I'm sorry that I didn't copy things over correctly. All right, and make sure I got the right file open. Okay. And yeah, so frustrating when I think I have everything done and then, you mess it up. Man, it's one of the most painful parts of writing, a dissertation. You think you're done with something and then one of your readers finds something that you thought you had all fixed. Okay. And so I'm going to share my screen here. So window capture, bear with me. Presenter, nope. Let's do that. Okay. And I just got to move this over for you. Okay. And that should do. There we go. All right. So, and I can put the video capture back up. We're just going to fix that so I don't take up so much space because nobody really cares. Whoops, sorry. Nobody really cares to see me. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's run through this here. All right, so we've got alpha, a. Vita. Now you can see in this old one, this was Erasmian when I did it, but we're going to pronounce it as vita. Okay, and then we've got, whoops, we skip over Rama, Velta, epsilon, epsilon, zeta, zeta, eta, eta, theta, theta, iota, iota, kappa, kappa, lambda, 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 mi. Now notice it says mu up there because that's how we're taught in Erasmian. But mi, ni, ni, sorry, xi, xi, omicron, omicron, p, p, rho, rho, sigma, sigma, whoops, tau, sorry, let me go back, hold on, I hit the wrong button, sigma, tau, epsilon, epsilon. In Erasmian, we're taught to say upsilon, upsilon. Epsilon, phi, phi, chi, chi, psi, psi, makes the PS sound, and then omega, omega, okay? Omega. And so what I want to do now is just do a little bit of reading with you, just to practice reading from the New Testament a little bit here. So I have a whole bunch of words that I wanted to just introduce individually. But what I thought we'd do here is jump over to the Gospel of John and look at the first one. Let's see, just reading Jenk's comment. So when the idea of lower and uppercase distinctions develop, when did the idea of lower and uppercase distinctions develop in Greek? From my limited understanding, a lot of the uncials are written in all uppercase. Yeah, they are. They're written in all uppercase letters. So, and keep in mind that manuscript that I showed you is late 4th, early 5th century, all capitals. The same thing with Codex Sinaiticus. So yeah, even the papyri, which I can show you really quickly. Let me bring accordance back. I think I installed it on this computer, so bear with me one second. Accordance, boom, okay, and why is that shrunk? Why is that shrunk? I guess I shrunk it. Shrink, shrank, shrunk. Okay, so let me just boom. Let's see if we can fix this. Oh, that's interesting how that. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what I did here. Sorry. Like why this is showing up like this. Let me just delete this for a minute. Remove. Okay. Yes, remove. Okay. All right, let's do this. So let's go back to accordance. Guess that's what we're looking at. Okay. Move that up there. This is so strange. All right, so, it's because I know what I did. So when I shrink things, okay, this should work now. There we go. Okay. All right, so let me just show you if I have it on here. Sorry. Dead Sea Scroll, Greek papyri. Yes. Okay. There we go. These are transcriptions. Okay. And I'm just going to go manuscript by manuscript. Well, I don't know if it lets me search that way, but let me here tell you what I'll do. Let me just put in Romans 5. The book Romans cannot be found. I have no idea why. So Romans, that's interesting. Okay, these, I guess this is only searchable by. That is so interesting. Sorry, guys. I can't believe it doesn't. There's something going wonky here. Oh, that's why, because it's manuscript order as opposed to. I don't think they put it in. Oh, if I do it this way, I see. Okay, manuscript order. Yeah, no, that is it. GNT. Oh, canonical order. That's what we want to do. Okay. All right. But yeah, this actually shows you different manuscripts side by side, and these are all of the manuscripts up until the time of Constantine. Prior to the the first 300 years or so, prior to the scriptoriums and the mass producing of manuscripts, which led to the very unfortunate Textus Receptus. But yeah, you can see there's not a trace of uncials. They come later. Okay, they come much later. Okay, so if you go over to Romans 5 here, we'll see what we have. Yeah, we only have one manuscript actually, and it does not give us the whole verse. It gives us dikaiothuntes is and sorry for pronouncing that in Erasmian. I just have it memorized that way. But it then the rest of that line is cut out until here, so we don't even have any manuscript evidence from the papyri for Romans. That first part of Romans 5:1 that we were. Oh no, there it is. There it is. Yeah, sorry, it does show up here with an omicron. Okay, right there. My bad. Looking in the wrong place. Okay. But that's the only one we get. But yeah, as you scroll through here, through the biblical canon, I mean, you're looking at all uncials, the capitals, if you will. Okay. And that's what you see in the early manuscripts. All right. Okay, let's get that off of there. Good. All right. So let's, for those who want to stick around and do a little bit of reading, glad to have you with us. For those of you who are new to the broadcast, just want to welcome you. We are just starting something new. I've been kind of toying around with this new approach to New Testament Greek, and we'll be looking at not only the New Testament, the Greek of the New Testament, but the Septuagint. It's all Kini Greek. And so happy to have you with us. If you're willing, support the channel, please. We're trying to get 5 super chats for this broadcast. If you can support, great. Some cool perks that go with that, including private live streams with me. So appreciate your support to help me doing what I'm doing here. All right, so now that we've looked at the alphabet, let's go through, and I think what we'll do is we'll identify all of the letters in the first clause. Okay, just the first clause. We're going to identify the letters. Then we're going to pronounce it. And then we will talk about the translation. Okay. All right. So, first of all, first letter there is epsilon. Epsilon. And this is an uncial form, or a capital form, if you will. It begins the book, and so that is just a style thing in the USB, the UBS, the United Bible Society. Okay, so that's the sound we're going to get. Next. Now this is tricky. It looks to English speakers like a V, but it's not. This is the letter ni. Ni. Epsilon, ni. And this is going to be pronounced N. N. And it means in. N, meaning in. Okay. Don't worry about the breathing marks, okay, that we're going to see here. We're going to ignore those for now. All right. Next, the next letter. Let's just identify the letter. We've got alpha. 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 After that is rho. 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 After that, chi. 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 And finally, ita. 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 But underneath the ita, there is a little tiny iota. We call this iota subscript. Beneath the script, iota subscript. We're going to ignore that, and it's not going to affect the pronunciation. It does affect the grammar, but we're not there yet. Yep. So, energy, and I want to pause just to look at Herman's comment. The first words, energy, in Hebrew is more ambiguous compared to the Greek. Is it more ambiguous? Is it more ambiguous? I don't see that as being. Okay. Sorry? I'm thinking of the Septuagint. Okay. So you're talking about Genesis 1 in the Hebrew. So Bereshit, is that what you mean? Okay. So yeah, Bereshit is definitely a little bit problematic. There is a case that can be made for saying in the beginning, okay? And that is how the Greek here needs to be rendered. But yeah, I am pretty convinced, based on a lot of evidence that I just can't get into right now. We'll have to do that in a broadcast on Genesis. That Bereshit does not mean in the beginning. It means when God began to create. Okay. And so, yeah, but that involves a look not only at Hebrew syntax, but at Akkadian syntax as well. And again, can't get into the details of that here, but yes. Okay, so that would be my answer, that yes, the Hebrew is more, if you want to call it ambiguous, problematic, whatever. Yeah, good question. All right, and then Jank, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was, divine. Yeah, that is how I like to translate it. And I'll explain why in a bit. Yeah, but that is how I tend to go with that myself. Okay. So we'll talk about that. All right. So energy, okay. In the beginning, this means in, this means beginning, and there's no word for the here. You don't necessarily need one, but again, this is an issue for a little bit more advanced Greek grammar that we just can't get into right now because this is lesson 1. Okay, so energy. Next, we have the letter ita, and ni, ita and ni, and that means was. He was. It was. Okay. Literally, it's in beginning was. In the beginning was. What was? Now we get the subject of the sentence. O, which means the. If you've taken biblical Greek with the Raspian pronunciation, you're going to say ha, ha. Okay, but here we're using modern Greek pronunciation o. En, archi, in, o, and then we get lambda, which is going to make an L sound. Lambda. Omicron. Omicron. Okay, gamma, gamma, omicron, omicron, and then sigma, sigma, logos, logos, which means word. So in the beginning was the word. In the beginning was the word. En archi in o logos. En archi in o logos. Okay? And that is the first clause of the Gospel of John. So you've got 5 words in Greek. What do they mean? In, beginning, he or it was, the word. In the beginning was the word. En archi o logos. Okay? Let me bring it up now. Okay? And this is coming from a transcription in Uncials. Notice how it's written in this early manuscript. This is, I think this is from Sinaiticus, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so epsilon, ni, so n, epsilon, ni, n, alpha, alpha. I know it looks kind of funny, right? Alpha. If you look at it, though, it looks like an A turned on its side. So if you turn it and then just kind of extend the lines out that way, that might help you. Alpha, or, it's standing up, but the horizontal line is more at an angle, diagonal. It's a better way to think of it. So N, and then we get alpha, rho, chi, eta. Remember eta and H. Okay. Archi, archi, N, archi. And then we get eta, ni. Eta, ni. And archi in o. And then lambda, omicron, gamma, omicron, sigma. Notice that the sigma here is written like a C. Okay. All right. But that is a sigma. En archi in o logos. En archi in o logos. Okay. And we'll go over to the manuscript. Okay. And yeah, I'm sorry, I can't remember if this is, I think this is, I prepared this so long ago. I think this is Sinaiticus from the 5th century. Okay. And just zooming in, okay, if you look up here, there is the text that we're looking at. And I zoomed in for you. It's a little blurry. Sorry about that. Oops. Go over here, please. There we go. So epsilon, nu, n, alpha. I know the rho is hard to make out. Chi, eta, archi, en, archi, eta, ni, in, it was. In the beginning was o. And then we get lambda, omicron, gamma, and omicron sigma there. Okay? Logos, logos, and archino logos. In the beginning was the word. Okay? All right, cool. So there we have it. We have got through the alphabet. Sorry about the the technological glitches early on. I really apologize for that. I'm going to go back and re-record some of this maybe tomorrow if I have the time, just to make it a lot smoother for all of you who are subscribers. I'll post it to the Patreon page, and just anybody who's willing to help out with the channel, please feel free to provide super chats, super stickers, all that stuff. To become, I highly recommend the Patreon page, where $12 a month subscription to my Aramaic and Hebrew tier gives you complete access to all of my unabridged videos. So a lot of what's on the YouTube channel, there's a lot of content there. I think it said today I have 330 videos now. Kind of hard to believe, but yeah, there's 330 videos on my channel. So search for something and you'll probably, you know, find something you're interested in. But all of the unabridged versions, the full content is available on Patreon. And for only $12 a month, you gain access to absolutely everything. So thanks so much for considering supporting. Before I go, let me just take a few final questions. So yes, no spaces between words. Seems confusing. God is nowhere. Yeah, absolutely. So Cenk had a question about God, and it is there actually. Let me just bring it here. There we go. Okay, so en archi in o logos. In the beginning was the word ke and o logos, and the word in was. Okay, ke o logos, and the word in was pros, p rho omicron sigma. Okay, pros ton taf omicron ni. Okay, ton the, and then theta ni. Theta ni, but you notice that macron above it. That's showing that it's an abbreviation. The word in Greek is theon. Theon, which means God, but it's abbreviated. So God is abbreviated here. So pros ton theon, K, and look at here, theta sigma for theos, the nominative form, and God, in o logos. And God was the Word. Yep, and the Word was God. Yeah, so it is there, but it's abbreviated. Yep, so in order to read out of these manuscripts, sometimes you have to learn the abbreviations that are there too, which is, well, let's just say it makes it a lot more fun. Yep. So your statement there, God is nowhere? Nope. God is there twice. Yeah, it's just harder to see, of course, because of the abbreviations. So. All right, cool. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate your patience with all those technological glitches. Really sorry about that. I'll get my act together for tomorrow. And yes, we will be streaming tomorrow. I got to see what's up on the schedule. I don't know if we've got Ecclesiastes next. I know I'll be doing one of our modern Hebrew, biblical Hebrew lessons as well tomorrow. So I might be streaming twice tomorrow. And please continue to spread the word about the channel. I really appreciate the support, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip. All right. See you, Herman. Take care.